we're going to talk about one of the systems that I have been using recently that has really helped me in my path and my journey. I actually just recently made a video about what it was like trying to be a projector for the last 2 years after finding out I was a human design projector. And Evaria Ravadza, thank you for your question. They left a comment, a question underneath that video. What is human design? Can you explain? And I said it would probably take way too long to explain in a text, so I decided I would just make a video about it. I have on a hat today because I just found it in the van. It's my husband's hat, and I put it on, and for whatever reason, I was enjoying it, so I have a hat on today, which is new for me. Also, major shout out to my sweater, blocking off a lot of just like the extra stimulation in the room that I'm staying in right now, because it's not my room. I'm just living here temporarily, so I'm trying to make it as clean and concise as possible so we don't get distracted. But I am going to slow down my talking so that way the energy, the information is digestible. So if you'd like, I already drank all my water for this morning, but if you have some water, take a quick sip. I'm just going to ground my body, sit with my body for a second. If you'd like to join me in doing that, you can just take a deep inhale and exhale with me, and then I will begin. Okay, nice deep inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Okay, I'm ready. All right. So, Evaria, I'm going to try my best and I have notes. I'll sit it up like this so I don't keep looking down. I'm going to try my best to explain human design from my eyes. Only been in it 2 years. There are so many people on YouTube who have channels specifically dedicated to explaining human design. But since you asked me, I figured I would try and do my best to give my perspective, as well as there was a great analogy given by the projector movement. So I would definitely check out his channel. He has great resources and information. I mean, specifically for projectors, but he also talks about human design. And so basically, human design is a system for understanding how we work here on Gaia. And the best way that I can kind of guide you into human design is by explaining how I was guided into human design. And first, I was really into astrology, and I still am. I use a lot of astrological transits to help me navigate and choose when it's best to do something. I never use astrology to like tell me what's going to happen to me, but how I can best work with what's going on. Human design is kind of like that. I found human design actually back in 2019, and I didn't understand it. Like, someone just sent me the website, they didn't really give me any information. I like typed in my information, and the website was still rudimentary in how it looked, so aesthetically it was really hard for me to like receive what it was telling me. So I heard about it, put in my information back then, but didn't really get a good grasp of what it was telling me. And then I reintroduced myself to human design for real, with more updated, like people really getting into the system back in 2022. So the way astrology gives you your birth chart based on the planets and what sign they were in and what aspects are happening and what houses the planets are in your life helps you understand some of your traits, your challenges, your weaknesses, your strengths, things you may expect during certain times of year, and so on. And human design does that, but it adds so many more intricate layers and levels that really interested me. Just being interested in like how people work, that's always been something I've been interested in. More specifically, maybe because people have always had a hard time like understanding me, and like then I have trouble understanding myself. Like, why am I so confusing to everybody? And astrology really helped me to understand myself better, and then human design helped me to understand, like, astrology helped me understand myself better in my multi-dimensionality as like just like a aspect of God, a spark of the divine. Whereas human design helped me understand how to take all of that and to actually utilize it here in the 3D realm on Earth, on Gaia. Human design takes the I Ching, it takes astrology, it uses a mandala. Like, there are so many layers of the person who channeled it, and it was channeled by Ra Uru Hu, And I have one of his books, although it's very thick to read, so I'm still working through it. But he basically in the 80s was spending some time in Ibiza. Maybe he has a ley line or astrocartography line there that really helped him receive this. But he basically downloaded all of this information that was supposed to be really helpful for humans as we continue to move through our lives here on Earth. And so he channeled the 5 types. He channeled like each strategy, authority for each type. And so I'm editing on my phone, so I can't, my phone only lets me add 5 bullet points per video, which is annoying, but I'm just going to scoot over and show you the 5 types right here. So there is the generator. There is a manifesting generator, which is considered a subtype. Technically there's 4 types, but I say 5. It says manifesting generator is a subtype of the generator, which basically means they're kind of like the same thing. There are manifestors, there are projectors. Actually, I should say there are projectors, there are manifestors, and then there are reflectors. And I have them in this order because this is from the highest percentage of humans here on Earth to the least percentage of humans here on Earth. Generators and manifesting generators make up 70% of the type of human here on Earth, and then projectors make up 20% of the type of human here on Earth. Manifestors, I think I said 9. Yeah, manifestors are 9%. Reflectors are basically just 1%. And I actually know one reflector, and it's pretty crazy that I know a reflector. I was like, what? I knew I was going to find one. Anyway, so there are 5 types. Now, you can imagine these 5 types, and this is the analogy that I found that I thought was really useful. These 5 types, if you think about how they work in this world, it was said by the projector movement. He gave this great analogy that manifestors, manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, reflectors. Imagine that, and I'm going to go in the order he did because it seemed like it made the most sense. Manifestors are the person within, like if we're going to see an orchestra, right? The manifestor is the person who had the idea to create an orchestra in the first place. Manifestors are here to act on their ideas, to take the spark that they have and to go out and initiate it. And they have the energy, the strategy, the authority. They have nothing really stopping them from doing that. So manifestors would be like, oh my gosh, you know, it'd be such a good idea. Let's get together a bunch of people and like have them play a bunch of different instruments and let people come and listen. That would be the manifestor. Then he goes on to explain that the people playing the instruments would be the generators and the manifesting generators. They're the ones who have defined sacral energy. They're the only ones of these 5 types, and we'll get into the energy centers in a moment. They're the only ones of this type, of all the 5 types, that have defined sacral energy, so they can just play and play and play, especially if they love to do something. If they don't love to do it, then it doesn't really work the same way. But they have sustained energy to play for hours, to go for hours, and to be the musicians on the stage. He then goes on to explain that the reflectors are the ones who are sitting in the crowd and they are reflecting back the quality of the music. So reflectors are here essentially, like I guess I should say generators and manifesting generators are here to play. They're here to create. They're here to respond to life and to bring us new creative ways of being and doing things. Reflectors are in the crowd and they're sitting there and they're listening to the music, and based on what they are looking like and receiving, we are getting a better understanding of how we are doing as a collective. So if all the people on stage were not connected, they didn't practice, and they're all just hopping up there, the reflector would be like looking like this, and then the people on stage would be like, oh, are we not that good? I thought we were good. And then the reflector is helping other people to learn about themselves by reflecting back what it is that they see. Sorry, my earring does not like my hair. So that's the reflector. And then the last one, which is the type that I am, is the projector. And the projector is the person who is conducting the orchestra. Projectors are guides. So the projector is guiding how this sound comes up and this one goes down, and then they all come together and then they slow it down. And so the projectors here on Earth are here to guide energy, to move energy in a way that is harmonious. So then the reflector could listen and be like, oh, that sounds much better. Okay, good. We just needed someone up here kind of helping everyone find their flow. That's how I learned the 5 types. I'll sit back here again. So those are the 5 types in human design. And based on which type you have, let me look at my notes so I can stay on point. You're going to have your strategy and your authority. Now, I recommend going to Jovian Archive to read in depth about all of this because there were pages upon pages. I'll leave it in the description box so you can click on it, Evaria, if you want to check it out. But based on your type, and let's just use my type because I know it the best, so it's the easiest way I can explain this. As a projector, I have a strategy and I have an authority. And maybe I'll make these, this is 2 and 3 for the 5 bullet points I can use in this video. My strategy is to wait for an invitation. So I come down to earth, I get my human design chart read. They say, congratulations, you're a projector. Here's your manual. And I receive my manual and it says, my strategy here on earth, okay, how can I move through this earth, is to wait for an invitation. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Whereas a reflector gets their manual and it says that they need to wait a moon cycle to make a decision. So they're like, oh, okay. Versus a manifester, their strategy is to inform before they act. So that way they meet less resistance. So they're like, oh, I just have to tell people what I'm doing before I do it. And then people won't always give me pushback. And then generators and mani-gens is a little different. Theirs is to technically wait to respond. So they're supposed to respond to things coming to them instead of just acting. That's more like generators. Manifesting generators are supposed to like wait for a sign to respond to, just like a generator, and then they act on it as a manifester by informing. Generators just need to receive the input and then go, I'm going to do that. Manifesting generators, it would be more helpful for them to say, oh, I got the sign. I want to do this. Let me tell people, and then I will have less restriction. These are things that we can experiment with because human design is very strongly expressed as an experiment. That's the way that Ra-Uru-Hu liked to talk about it. And I think it's helpful because it allows people to recognize and remember like, oh yeah, I'm just trying this out, finding what works, finding what doesn't. It doesn't have to be such a constrictive in a box type of thing. So with my manual, I wait for an invitation. And that means that I am not going around guiding the orchestra. Like I don't walk up to an orchestra and start telling them what to do unless those people recognize me and invite me. They say, hey, I saw that one thing you did and you were really good at that. Would you mind coming over here and helping us? And then it'll bring me more of and then this is kind of how I'm leaning into it. By the strategy, by waiting for an invitation, the next part of that would be my authority. Strategy and authority. My authority is the part of my body, and there are 9 centers in the human design system. The head center, the ajna center, the throat center, the G center, which I was confused about, but it's basically yourself, your love, your direction. And then there's the heart center, which is the ego and the willpower. And then you have your solar center, your sacral center, your spleen, and your root. No authority in human design is the mind. You will never use your mind to make a decision in human design, which I really appreciate. Everything is about connecting into your body, except I think self-projected projectors, they have only defined areas up here. I'm kind of getting a little too thick in this. It's a very intricate system, but all these centers in your body, some of them will be colored in your chart. I'm going to grab my chart really quick. Some of them will be colored in your chart, and then some of them won't be colored in. And the ones that are colored in are considered defined, and then the ones that aren't colored in are considered undefined. The colored in parts of your chart, wow. Of course I didn't color mine in. Who am I? That's so funny. Okay, I don't know why I didn't color mine in, but I drew mine. So, that's my real name. This is the head, the eye, the throat, the G center, the heart, the sacral, the spleen, the solar, the root. Now I have this one colored in, I have this one colored in, I have the throat colored in, and I have the eye colored in, and that's it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 colored in. Those are my defined centers. Those are parts of me that are consistent, that always stay the same, that I can rely on for going to, like, and knowing it's my energy. The ones that are not colored in are considered open centers. And if someone comes into my space, like someone sitting next to me, and they have this one colored in, then it colors it in for me. And then it like activates certain little channels in me that I can like then utilize that energy, but I have to be mindful of it. So for me, strategy was wait for an invitation. My authority, because this is colored in, even though I have the root colored in and the throat and the eye, this is a motor center. I'm realizing how detailed human design is as I'm trying to explain this. Because this is considered a motor center, it's colored in. Let me see. The motor centers are, because I wrote this down, the root is a motor, the spleen is a motor, the solar is a motor. Wait, is that the solar? No, that's the sacral. The solar is a motor. So 1, 2, 3. These are all motors. And then the heart is a motor. So these are all motors right here. If these are colored in, based on which ones you have colored in, they can be your inner authority. But if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you will always have the sacral center colored in. That will be your inner authority, always is your sacral center. If you don't have this colored in, then you're another type. That's the easiest way to tell what type you are, is if this isn't colored in, because this is the life force energy, the sexual creative energy that generators and manifestors are able to tap into and regenerate and transmute and have just energy every day. Whereas for me, and I would say less for me, but maybe more for other projectors, because I have a root center colored in and I have my spleen colored in, I have a little bit more consistent energy than someone who doesn't have the root colored in. And if they just had this colored in down here, then in this one, then they would be a different inner authority. I hope I'm explaining this well. So for me, I'm supposed to wait for the invitation. The orchestra comes and they say, hey, we saw you're really good at this. Would you come and direct us and guide us? Then I would go to my inner authority, which is my spleen, to decide whether or not I accept the invitation. And to me, that would be using my intuition, because the spleen is a more ancient center. It's a more instinctual center where you're supposed to tap in immediately in the moment and be like, yes, that feels right. Or actually, no, that doesn't feel right. And instead, I might say, oh, thank you so much for the compliment. I actually would recommend this person for that. It doesn't really align for me, but I appreciate it. Or if it felt right, I'd be like, yes, and then it would feel good. And as you use your strategy and your authority, then you lead to your, this is the fourth point, your self-theme or your not self-theme. So the inner authority can be seen as like your compass, is how I have it written in my notes. So for me to have the invitation as my strategy, I got invited, my inner compass will tell me, yes, you should do that, or no, you shouldn't. For a generator and manifesting generator, they tap into their sacral, which a lot of people say is like this immediate grunt you'll hear generators and manifesting generators use. Like if you're talking to them, they may go, mm-hmm, mm-mm. And that's like their natural, subconscious, innate guide. So if I was like asking my husband, hey, do you want to go and eat some yummy food? He would go, mm-hmm. Or I'd be like, hey, did you want to like go and do this thing at this place, blah, blah. And he goes, mm-mm. I am meant to honor that. If I don't honor that and I try and like move his answer up into his mind, like if he went, but I was like, but think about it. Don't you think if we did this and this and this, and then he takes his conscious thought, his consciousness out of his body and into his mental space, which is never anyone's authority, and then he goes into his head and he's like, well, you know what, she might be right. Then if he decides to say yes after that, a lot of times you will feel resistance, it won't be as fun, and then you'll get into your self versus not self theme. So for me, my self theme, if I'm listening to my strategy and I'm listening to my authority, it will lead me to my self theme, which is success, and I will experience success in what I'm doing, or my not self theme, which is bitterness. And then if I accepted that thing that my intuition told me not to, but I went into my mental space and I was like, no, that's rude. I shouldn't say no. I should probably go ahead and do it. And then I go, and then no one wants to listen to me because they don't really see me, because my intuition knew that before they did, and then I'm trying to guide them and they're like, she doesn't know what she's doing, this is horrible, and they play worse, and then I feel bitter because I got invited to do something, knew I wasn't meant to do it, went and did it anyway, and then wasn't like thanked for what I was guiding or doing, and then I feel used, so then I become bitter. For other types, like manifestors, their self-theme is to feel peace when they're doing what they're meant to be doing. And if they're in their not self, doing things outside of their strategy or their authority, then they're feeling bitter. Or no, not bitter, they're feeling angry. So they go from peace to anger. Generators and manifesting generators go from feeling satisfied. And I always remember this one because of Alexander Hamilton. He's like, he will never be satisfied. He will never be satisfied. So I always sing that to my husband. Well, I don't always sing it, but I think it's funny because his self-theme, he should be feeling satisfied in life if he's doing what he's meant to. And then if he's not, he will feel a lot of frustration. And then for reflectors, I think they're supposed to feel surprise if they're in their self-theme, like, wow, like feeling lots of sense of surprise. And then I don't know what their not self-theme is. I'm so sorry, reflectors. And I don't want to guess, but I know it's surprise, and then I think it's sadness. I want to say sadness. I don't know if that's right. But those are the main things that come with your human design when you receive your manual, is knowing what your strategy is, what your authority is on the inside of you, how you would make the decisions, and then feeling your self-theme or your not self-theme. The other things that come out of this, and the last note I have on my piece of paper, and I won't have to look down anymore, I put it was like the tribes in Avatar. That was going to be my analogy before I found the other really good analogy about the orchestra, of thinking of like the water tribe, fire tribe, earth tribe, air tribe. Like, you come down here as a part of a tribe of people, and all tribes have different strengths for different reasons, so that all the ecosystem can move together in a beautiful, coherent way. After knowing about your strategy, your authority, your self-theme, your not self-theme, you can learn more about which centers of you are defined and what that means. And inside of a center, like my third eye and my throat are defined. That means they're colored in. I have these little numbers are considered gates. And then these lines in between two centers are considered a channel. I like to imagine that this is an island, and this is an island in my body. So I have an island that people hang out in on my third eye, and I have an island on my throat. These two islands without a bridge would not be able to communicate with one another. But because I have like a tribe that lives right here on the island, and I have a tribe that lives right here on the island, they become little gates. I have on my throat tribe people living here and people living here, but because there was no tribe living here, they don't create a bridge to one another. I had a tribe here and a tribe here that looked across the water, and they saw each other and like, hey, oh my gosh, let's build a bridge. So they build a bridge, and now the tribes can share information and become stronger because they share their resources. This one isn't fully connected, and it has a different color for a way more intricate reason that I recommend going onto the Jovian Archive website about, because there is black and red lines which basically explain the parts of you you're conscious of and the parts of you that you are unconscious of. So you have conscious lines, unconscious lines based on the day you were born, and then there's like a personality that's created for you a couple months before you're born, and that's the unconscious part of you. So this line I'm aware of. I believe black is conscious and red is subconscious, I think. I feel pretty aware of it now just because I've brought more awareness to it. And when this gate and this gate make a channel, now I have a extra type of flair added to my personality. You can learn specifically about gates and channels and what it means for you and how you can use it. For me, for example, this one is known as the Genius to Freak channel. I believe it's the channel of structuring. So for me, the tribe right here and the tribe right here, when they come together and share stuff, it's like crazy things they're creating that are like ingenious and you've never seen it before. And so if I brought it to like another tribe, some people be like, wow, that's amazing. And when I bring it to other tribes, they're like, no, that's weird. I don't like that. So for me, it's about learning when to share these gifts. This is my only other channel. As you can see, some of them are broken in half because there's no tribe right here to connect these two islands on the inside of me. So this is the only other section. and that is from my spleen to my root, and this is the channel of judgment. This one is more difficult to deal with, and it's essentially about, not to get too much into my own details, it's about seeing something out in the world and seeing how it can work better and judging things. Like, I can judge that if you moved this over here and put that over there, because I really like feng shui, your room would flow better and you'd have more fun in it. It's like, it's not judging to just be, I'm judging you. It's like, I can see a better way for you to find more joy in your life if you did this. Also needs to be invited as a projector. I can't just go around telling people this and telling them crazy stuff, otherwise it won't feel good. For like maybe a manifester who has a motor, a manifester will always have one of the motor centers connected to the throat. So like they have just easy access to expressing something. They can say, you know, if you just move that over here and blah, 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 someone will be like, oh, okay. And then it's fine. Projectors need to wait to be invited. So I have been learning a lot of patience with this system, which I didn't realize I didn't have. That has been a big one for me. And the only other things that I'll mention about human design that will be helpful to know if you're trying to get like a quick understanding of it is that you also have profile lines. I think I had the 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, this will be my last bullet point. You also have a profile. And a profile in human design is essentially taking the conscious part of you and the unconscious part of you, and there are like 2 numbers in your astrology that line up next to your chart, and the numbers on each side will create your profile. So I'm a 2-4 splenic projector because the spleen is my area in my body that I use as my inner authority, and I don't have my sacral defined, and I don't have a motor to my throat, so that means I'm a projector. Reflectors look like this chart. They don't have any colored in centers. They are literally just taking in everything from their environment. Generators and manifesting generators will always have a colored in sacral, and then manifestors will always have a motor center connected to their throat. And that's how you'll know who's who. For me, I'm a 2-4 splenic projector. So the conscious number is the first number and your unconscious number is your second number. So the 2 I'm aware of. What color is that? Is that the red side or the black side? I'm still trying to figure out if I know which side is which. But you read the right side first of the chart, and then you read the left side. So I'm a 2-4. So I'm conscious to my 2, which is the hermit line. The hermit line basically means that I enjoy spending time alone by myself. Like literally right now, I'm alone by myself. And it allows me to have time to reflect on what I've learned, to be creative, to rest, to find peace, to feel more myself and understand myself outside of people around me. The 4 line on my profile is the part I'm not really aware of or conscious to, and other people bring that awareness to me, but I'm more aware of it now because I've brought awareness to it because of human design. So now I know at the 4 line is like the opportunist, looking for opportunities to share gifts, to grow, be creative, engage with the other. But this is usually invited out of me. Like, I am aware of the 2 in me. I know I like to hermit. It's not hard for me to hermit. I'll hermit. The 4 part of me is about people being like, hey, we're having this event. We're doing this market. We're doing this farmer's market. We're having this little get together. We're having this retreat. We're doing this thing. And people be like, you should come. You should come. The hermit part of me is like, oh, I mean, I could come, or I could just stay and you can just tell me how it went. And being the hermit doesn't always serve both parts of me. The 4 line is good for me. So it's about learning how to come out of my hermitness and go out and engage with people so I can use my strategy to wait for an invitation while I'm out in this place. Someone sees me, recognizes me, and invites me, and then I check my inner authority. My intuition says, yes, this is good. I say yes, and then I feel some success, and then I go back into my little hermit cave and continue to do my thing. Human design helped me figure out all of that for interacting with others around me. Astrology helped me just learn more about me. And it does help me learn about others when I can know their astrology. But astrology is like, oh, this transit's happening right now. This is going on. I should do this. This is beneficial. This is why they're acting this way. This transit's happening. Human design is like, how can I move in this world with so many other different types, knowing a way that best allows me to not feel so much resistance, to feel more peace, to feel more rest, to feel more successful and happy with my experience here on Earth. That's how I would explain human design in a small, like it's such a small fraction because there's even more parts to your type, like your incarnation cross. And again, I'm going to leave the link for the website where you can read in detail about everything for human design. I also really recommend most human design channels on YouTube. You will learn something from most of them, from any of them, I would really say. I can't think of a human design channel specifically off the top of my head just because I watch a lot for projectors. But yes, in a nutshell, a bunch of different tribes of people here on Earth that have different strengths that they can use to be happier in their lives, that allow all of us to come together and play beautiful music here in the orchestra of life, if I had to put it in a nutshell. Evaria, I really hope that made sense, that it was helpful, that it was coherent, that you feel more like maybe intrigued to look into it. I would really be interested to know what your type is. That would be really cool. If you feel like you want to leave that comment below, feel free. If you just want to keep it to yourself, that's cool as well. But I hope that this was useful and made sense. I've not really ever tried to explain human design in its entirety because no one's really ever asked me in my human life. So thank you for the question. I appreciated it. It was fun to do. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to share. I'm always kind of like funky about ending videos, but thank you for watching this. Thank you for hanging out with me a little bit. Look into your human design. I really recommend doing it. It's really helped me. There's so many resources available, and it will make a difference. And it's an experiment. Just experiment with it. Just try it out. See if it fits, it sits, kind of thing. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for receiving. And as always, until next time, I'm sending you peace and I'm sending you love.